couple of y'all, I don't mean to be a jerk about it. Couple of y'all sent me, and thank you again, but Kitchen Dwellers as a suggestion. I don't know where this has gotten misunderstood. This is a pure bluegrass band that doesn't have a drummer. It ain't Kitchen Dwellers ain't going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. If it's a drive by, it's a walk by, I'll give it a listen. But I thought, okay, I don't know. Maybe we talk a lot, guys. Maybe they got misunderstood of where I'm at. But I don't want to be
maybe you got trolled.
Maybe. All right, Brian. It did.
Brian, we got
I don't know
the band for you right here.
Somebody's at home laughing. I made him listen to Kitchen Dwellers. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the What Podcast. It is a gorgeous weekend here in Chattanooga. I don't know how it is where you guys are, but what is this? March 23rd weekend-ish. I don't think it could be any prettier.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
We finally made it into spring.
Yep.
Spring's officially here. Weather is a little cold, and then it got a lot better this weekend.
Of course, first day of spring down here was 46 degrees.
It was freezing.
And the next day it was 75. That's what it's. When you see all the memes about the South, those are right. But I'll take it every day of my life. I love
cliches are cliches for a reason. Let's put it that way, as we've always said.
We're on like third spring right now. Third spring.
Part of why that's important is it means that, Brian, I think you said you're out doing yard work. Russ, that means you're probably in the bus going somewhere. In fact, you had a busy weekend already, right? What was the event? Another car show?
We had a big car show downtown, Riverside. This is our 10th year putting this show on. And this is an all-encompassing, not just Volkswagen. It's all makes and models, mostly imports, mostly modified cars. So if you were anywhere near Chattanooga and you heard, engines and cars and stuff going down the road, that's what that was about. We had a lot of people come in from out of town.
Oh, yeah. So it's got a big tourist in.
Yeah.
Not tourists, but people travel for this event. And I'm 10 miles from downtown, roughly 8 to 10 miles. From where I live, and I could hear those burners. I could hear a few last night. So it is a wild event we have here. Car shows to me are always wild to begin with because people it's such fandom. My God, how many podcasts are there on Meacham, right, and Riverside and all these other things? And but they barely advertise. It's kind of like a Bonnaroo style thing. Like there's barely advertising. There's not even. I wouldn't know anything about it if I didn't know people like you, Russ, that were involved in it. And it packs our city every year. So I'm a big fan, even though the cars are not my favorite. But
if you're in the know, I mean, you know about these events. And of course, we also have the Chattanooga Motor Car Festival, which will be in the fall. And that's more of a classic car show.
That's the other end of the wallet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. They're both bring your checkbook, but that's the bring your big checkbook.
They're both bring your inheritance and your generational wealth.
Right.
But yes, I love the motor car thing a lot. But I the Riverside one's fun too. And Taco's always got to get himself involved in those. There's a car or a bus.
To get involved.
Yeah, he's gonna be there.
Yeah, and then we ended up going to Lo Mein Saturday night after the car show, and then walked over to Yellow Racket, which is the record store next door. They were having a live show, a band playing, and so I ended up picking up some records. So I'll show you.
Not even record store day. He's already buying.
Not even
mine.
record store day. I'm already picking stuff up. So this is the Yes album, which I already have, but this is a Japanese import. So I had to get that.
Look at this guy. Now he's got it twice.
Now I have it twice.
That sounds like me.
I have to have a list of all of my albums because I'll end up buying the same record twice if I don't make sure that I already have it.
Well, and real quick, that I've noticed in collectibles, Japanese produced versions of American products or collectibles, records, guitars, things like that. They always they're the hardest ones to get, and they're probably the best ones made. I don't know that they're the ones everybody wants as a player, but
that's what caught my eye was that it's in Japanese, and it's almost in kind of a paper. I mean, this isn't even a really a record sleeve. It's like just kind of a paper thing. So that's weird.
That's cool.
Nice.
And then Rick Wakeman, he was also the keyboardist for Yes, and he's done a lot of solo stuff, and I've never gotten into any of it. So this was $5, so I picked that up. And then this last one, Barry, I think you'll appreciate. I got the Kraftwerk 50th anniversary of
There it is.
This album.
There it is.
Yeah.
I
Autobahn.
think I mentioned a couple episodes before, and I highly recommend it if you at all love listening to Rick Beato interviews. His interview with Rick Wakeman is outstanding. Rick Wakeman is a terrific storyteller, and I mean, it's everything from his interactions with like the Beatles to the Queen. It's really, really entertaining. Plus his music and all that. So
yeah, Rick gets some amazingly good guests. Like
yes, he
his
does.
Rolodex for pulling guests. I mean, they have got a machine with his YouTube channel these days. I see it all over my socials.
He does a great job. I mean, it's a great. There's a bunch of them, but the Rick Wakeman I highly recommend. Also, real quick, Russ, I think I let you know I've reached out to our friend Todd Mayo over at the Cavern. Looks like hopefully all three of us, maybe, but for sure you will be going to CaveJam.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. CaveJam is their jam band kind of festival that they're putting on. And off the top of my head, what was it? String Cheese is playing. Who else?
String Cheese, Infamous String Dusters, Andy Frasco, Bonnaroo people will recognize. It's another cool lineup.
String Cheese is a star of the show, no matter how you slice it, and they're all night there. I mean, all weekend there. And the Infamous String Dusters, if you're a Billy Strings fan, there wouldn't be Billy Strings style without the Infamous String Dusters. They became that band that still did traditional grass, but boy, they did it just a little different, and it really stuck out 20 years ago. And then Billy Strings took it to a whole nother level. So that's really cool.
And again, shameless plug, but go back and listen to our interview with Todd Mayo. One of my favorites. I have so many favorites.
That was one of my favorites.
It was fun.
That it could be my favorite just because, and we've done some. Forget whether y'all enjoyed listening and watching. We appreciate it if you did, but just the act of doing it. The enjoyment of doing it, going to that property and seeing that the cave on that absolutely beautiful November day. I mean, I haven't had much more fun in the last couple of years. And the conversation was fun too.
Yeah, he's great. He's
looking forward to being there in May. Hopefully me, maybe you, Barry, but definitely our guy Taco. He'll be signing autographs all weekend.
I really want to go just because I just want to go camp there. It's such a beautiful property. They got such a great.
I want to do cave
camping.
tours. I want to do cave tours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Russ got the bus. Will be there.
The bus will be there. So and hopefully you guys will be able to come and maybe we can do some interviews.
Would love to do that. Would love to do that on a Saturday. So if we can make it happen, Todd, we'll see you then.
All right. Well, the big news for us this week, we are going to give away some prizes. And we got a bunch of submissions and we got a bunch more that we haven't shared with you guys. And Russ, I think you pulled up a few of those, right?
We do. We'll go ahead and now we can't play all. We've got so many submissions. We can't get to all of them, but I have picked a few of the last ones that we got. So there's some band recommendations. So if you're diving into the lineup, this will be a good chance to kind of discover who you want to see. We haven't done a whole lot of lineup stuff.
No, we're going to start doing that. And before this show's over, maybe on the back end, I've got my first playlist put together, but I want to set it up a little bit, and it's based on some submissions and suggestions that we got that I went through. So we'll start here, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I do have my initial playlist to finally start the discovery portion of this time frame. So I'll get to that here shortly.
So let's recap real quick. I know you guys probably think this is, that we're super, super organized and everything is planned out. It's not. What we did was we knew we had two tickets to give away, including a parking or camping pass. During the course of asking these questions, our friend David Bruce reached out and said, I'd love to give one of his I Am Bonnaroo prints away, which is awesome. And then we had occasion to interview Caleb, the Bonnaroo yearbook, and he said, I would love to give one of my books away. So we have that as well. So over the course of the last, 3 months, we've asked questions such as, which shows would you like to do over? Which bands would you recommend? Why do you want to go? I'm trying to think of some of the other questions.
We just kind of pulled them out of our ass some weeks.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't going to be that subtle, but
but I can't really remember what they all are. But you guys always came strong, and yeah,
you did
so many of them, and we could never play them all back. But we
got a lot of great submissions, and we had submissions that were emails. We had some voicemails. We had people record videos. We had faxes. I mean, this was a multimedia contest, and you guys really brought everything. So we appreciate all the submissions.
And what I loved was it was a lot of sometimes somebody would, like every week or every other week or something. And we've said on here so many times, we're all basically have the same stories. We just tell them differently. And that
this is a few different
proved
variables.
It, so. Yeah. And I think you'll get some of that in this. So what's the first one you got, Russ?
All right. I think we're going to start with Michael. This is a little bit longer. And if you're just listening and not watching, you might want to check this one out, because Michael, as he explains, he's a visual artist, and you'll kind of see some of his creativity in this one. So we definitely had to play it. So let me find it. Here we go. Let's go with Michael.
Hello again, What Podcast? I am Michael, and I am back to answer a variety of questions from the past few weeks. The first one I want to start off with is what position I'd want at a music festival. I'm a video artist, projectionist, VJ, whatever you want to call it. I do a variety of liquid light shows and analog video art like you see here and throughout the rest of the video. My goal is to find a band to tour with and do all their visuals and live shows. Doing visuals at a stage like the West Stage at Bonnaroo would be probably my wildest dream come true. So that would be the position I would love to have at a festival. And then the other question I really want to dig into here is the 2025 versus 2020 lineup debate, because I think there's a very clear and mathematical answer to this debate. But at first I want to unpack the 2020 lineup for a hot second. Looking at it, the first artist that really stands out to me that didn't make it back in 2025 is Andy Frasco in the UN. He was my big Bonnaroo discovery that I had never heard of before going to Bonnaroo, but after going and seeing him at Bonnaroo, I will never miss an Andy Frasco show that's within driving distance, because he always puts on such an incredible show. I think if I was the one booking Bonnaroo, I'd give him the Grand Ole Opry treatment and let him headline every Thursday every year, because I think he's the perfect way to start Bonnaroo and have your Thursday night. It's such a fun, crazy vibe, and I think he's perfect for Bonnaroo. Looking at the headliners from 2020, I think Tool and Tame Impala blow all the headliners from 2025 out of the water, and I'd much rather see Tool or Tame Impala than any of the headliners from 2025. And then the last really big standout artist from 2020 is Oysterhead. I know they're probably pretty hard to book because they rarely ever play shows, but I believe in the Bonnaroo magic, and I want to see them come back. If I was booking, I'd definitely try to get Oysterhead back. And then looking at 2025 after looking at 2020, it seems a little underwhelming, and I can see why people would think that the 2020 lineup is better. But then you look at 2025, and in the top right-hand corner, there's an orange circle. It says King Gizzard, 3 nights. And you look back at 2020, and you see King Gizzard, 1 night, which means, mathematically speaking, that the 2025 lineup is 3 times better than the 2020 lineup, purely because we get 3 nights at King Gizzard. My wanted piece of advice for this year's Bonnaroo is do not miss a King Gizzard set. Go see all 3. They're going to be different. They're going to be insane. They're going to be great. I have their entire large discography here on vinyl. I think if you're trying to get into them, I'd recommend listening to I'm in Your Mind Fuzz. It is my favorite album of all time, but it's also just a great place to start. because it's got some chill stuff and it's got some heavy stuff. So it's a good starting point to figure out what you want more of. You can also start with just getting into their live shows. I think Bonnaroo 22 is one of their best live shows, and it's also the show that I'd relive if I could, and I do from listening and watching this show all the time again. This is really cool. It's got a Bonnaroo map on the inside. But there it is. Dome is King Gizzard. The only people not going are the people who haven't seen them, because if you've seen them, you know, and you'll be there. Some final thoughts. And other artists I'd love to see at Bonnaroo that I'd book. Viagra Boys #1. I want to see them at the Farm so bad. I've seen them a couple of times over the past couple of years, and they're always great. I'd also love to see more psychedelic rock acts at Bonnaroo, stuff like the Black Angels, Pond, OC, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. I think that'd be a really fun vibe for Bonnaroo that they don't really have a lot of usually. Yeah, that's all I got. Hope to see y'all at Roo.
Thank you, man.
How cool was that?
That was excellent. First, a
Super
couple
cool.
notes of the old school monitors look great. And then with the Dead and Company doing their, hopefully, last residency at the Sphere starting this week, the Deadhead had a nice look. But yeah, that King Gizzard Lizard Wizard fandom is no joke there. That guy knows what he's talking about.
Yep. I'd like to go through his record collection sometime.
And
Me
then,
too. That was a
sometimes
stat.
I used to joke on the other, my, what did I call it? My, the Center for Song Naming and Album something Institute.
Yeah.
Viagra Boys just doesn't work as a band name for me. It just doesn't work for a band name. I don't like it.
Yeah,
But-
they're on the same bill with Limp Bizkit. It's
Well, maybe Limp Bizkit started the reason for needing to make that institute.
no, that was awesome.
I'm also glad he mentioned Andy Frasco, because we were just talking about CaveJam.
Correct.
Michael, if you're within driving distance of the caverns, come see Andy Frasco at the CaveJam.
Michael, I got a few years on you, but I have a feeling we'd enjoy hanging out just fine. You seem cool to me, and
I think so.
I know Russ mentioned it, but if you're just listening to this, you have no idea what we're talking about. But Michael did an amazing job with that video using his skills. So I can't promise, but I know, Rush, you and I talked about when I think we saw this earlier in the week, and I'm like, we need to help that guy out. We need to hook him up with some people in the business, because he knows what he's doing. So
We do, and I think he would love to, and I think it would be a great fit. He could clearly do some really cool visual art for a band, such as, one of these King Gizzard or, just with all the trippy visuals and stuff. It looked
that was
really
well
cool.
done. That was well done.
Yeah.
I'm usually on anything we're gonna play back and do on any kind of, not this show, any show I ever do. It's brevity is king. Let's get to the point, moving along. But when you bring visual aspect, that kind of changes the whole thing. I like that approach. It looked cool.
it was very cool.
In
All right, what
this
else you
case,
got?
It was worth sticking around for the whole thing. So we got a couple voicemails too. This one we'll start with is Brady, and I think this is getting into some of the recommendations for who to watch on this year's lineup.
Note-taking time.
Get
Let's
your
go.
pens out. Yep, let's go.
Hey everyone at the What Podcast. I'm Brady from Asheville, North Carolina. And an artist I kind of want to shout out and put a little spotlight on is Daddy Freyer. I discovered him doing some lineup research, and he's like a 6'10" man from Iceland with the voice of an angel. Definitely got a unique sound. I guess it's like a electronic / pop music kind of sound. But if you check out some of his live sets, he seems very fun, engaging, and his voice sounds great live too. So I can't wait to see that, and I hope his name starts getting a little attention before the festival starts. Daddy Freyer.
There
All
you go.
right,
Do you know
Brady.
anything about Daddy Freyer? Yeah.
Daddy Frere. I spelled it like prayer with an F in front. Daddy Frere. I'll give it a listen.
6'10"
6'10"
Icelandic man with the voice of an angel.
Yeah.
Tight
Sounds
cast.
not real. Sounds not real.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, I've started this morning at, like you, Brian. I was doing a little yard work or garage work, so I had kind of the phone Spotify, and I just hit some. I don't even know whose Bonnaroo 2025 playlist it was, but
well, before we get out of here, I'm going to give you my quick short
We'll get
rundown,
started on that.
and we'll get you a link to it. But go ahead, Taco. What else you got?
All right, we'll play this one, and you've heard it before, but this is Lena.
Hey guys, it's Lena. How exciting that it's the last week of the giveaway. First of all, Barry, I'm so sorry you have COVID. That's the worst. I'm also sending this, getting over a stomach bug, so hoping you feel better soon. As for the prompt this week, of course, like always, I'm going to say Flip Turn is someone everyone should listen to, but I don't think they need me to tell them that or to tell people that anymore, because I actually just saw that they sold out the Mission Ballroom in Denver, Colorado, and it's just so cool to see how much they've grown since the first time I saw them in a dive bar. But I'm so excited to see them at Bonnaroo. Some other artists that I'm really excited about are Will Dorado, which they actually toured with Flip Turn a while ago, so that's how I originally found out about them. But I've loved their music ever since and haven't seen them live yet, so that'll be really fun. And then Rachel Chinariri, I'm excited for her because she was supposed to tour with Remy Wolf, I think, earlier last year, and she had to cancel. I think it was a financial reason. I don't know for sure, but I'm really excited to see that she's on the Bonnaroo lineup. And Gigi Perez is another one that I think could have Chapel-like power. I know a lot of her songs have gone viral on TikTok, so I'm excited to see her. And then B.D. Stockwell and MJ Lenderman are two other names that I'm excited to hear live. So yeah, thank you guys for this episode, and you got my name right. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you being so generous to think of me with those podcast episodes with Tuba and Bryan and all of that. So yeah, thank you.
Hey, and there's our winner. Good morning, Lena. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited. I can't even describe.
I thought you were traveling. It doesn't. If you are, that's a pretty cool looking vehicle.
I decided to stay home for a little longer. My parents live in Atlanta, so I've been visiting for the weekend.
Well, I know you and I spoke a little bit the other day. The reason that we chose you is several reasons. It was not only the number of submissions, but the variety. Loved the fact that you basically took advantage of every opportunity except the fax machine. And we'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't have the capacity to use a fax machine. Never done it before, and I wasn't going to try for the first time.
Work on that for next year. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How many times you been? Again, you know, you've said it before, but what is it special about Bonnaroo?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, but I go to the University of Florida. I've been there for like 6 years. I'm an occupational therapy student, but I am very interested in the music industry as well. So I might make a little career pivot, which is what I've been talking about in some of my entries. But I've been going to Bonnaroo since 2022, I think was my first year. And I've been twice now, so this will be my third year. And I just love the community aspect of it and how many friends I've met, how creative and free everyone can be. And it's just like an escape from reality. It feels like when you go onto the farm, like you don't have to think about the outside world for almost an entire week. And that's really rare these days. So I just love it.
Lena, I got to ask, because it would not get out of my brain if I didn't. 6 years in Gainesville, that's a long time. You just
She's on that career path I was on.
Enjoying college life?
I mean, it's been, honestly, I'm ready to get out of there. I love Gainesville. It has a special place in my heart. And the music scene is actually really amazing in Gainesville. There's a student-run record label, a lot of like really amazing local shows. So I cling on to that and it gets me through. But I'm ready to be in a bigger city with more access to live music and just more experiences.
Well, being from Atlanta, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So talk a little bit more about this career thing. Occupational therapy and music industry are two different things.
Absolutely.
Have a plan B. I'll throw that in there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, for sure. So I'm definitely going to graduate. I graduate in December with my doctorate. I've been working towards it for a really long time. And so I'll always have a stable career with OT. Like OT is very highly demanded. I've always been very creative and loved art, and especially like expressing my art towards artists and musicians that I love. So I figured like there's no time like the present to at least seek out opportunities. And maybe if I get my dream job, I can let go of OT, but OT will always be there. And I'm doing an internship with a company called Topeka right now. It's like a music vacation company. They're sort of like music festivals, but for I think their target is like older adults that don't really want to deal with like the camping or the long lines of Bonnaroo and festivals like that. So it's been a really cool experience to learn from them.
Is that kind of like the cruise
Yeah, I was
kind of
gonna ask.
thing, and those different kind of I don't know what I would call them, almost boutique style getaways.
Yeah.
Is it in the vein of something like that?
Yeah, it is. The founder of Topeka actually founded Sixth Man, the founders of like the Rock Boat and those cruise vacations. And it's just like on the beach in Miramar Beach, and they help you book accommodations. And it's more like a vacation than like a festival is how they advertise it. But I'm going on site in 2 weeks to see the My Morning Jacket vacation and to help them with that. And I've never seen My Morning Jacket, so I'm very excited to get hands-on experience there.
Barry will be jealous of that because that's the first time.
Call me.
Yeah.
We can talk.
That's the first time My Morning Jacket has done the one big holiday weekend outside of Mexico. I believe.
Wow,
That's
I
the
didn't
first
realize
time
that.
they're taking it. Yeah, they brought it to the States. A lot of people have said maybe that was from cost-cutting measures. Whatever. It's still a beach. It's still a resort, and it's still a weekend of My Morning Jacket. So people should be
Yes.
should enjoy that just fine.
Six Man, that's Jeff Cuellar, isn't it?
That's what I thought. That's our buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We've had-
Oh,
we might know
awesome.
some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
We might be able to, but along those lines, what is it exactly you? So what do you think the job is going to be, and what do you want the job to be? Because I mean, even when we had Tuba on, it's like everybody thinks you're going to stand side stage and watch your favorite band 100 times a year, and they don't
Yeah.
consider that it's real work. So
Oh,
what is it
absolutely.
what is it you imagine this job is going to entail, and then what is it you want to do? And you can do those in either order.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure all that out still, but I have always had a really high work ethic. I think I've learned that from grad school. So I'm used to like really grinding and working on a team. And I really like planning things and I like leadership positions. And my vision ultimately, like I'm very interested in festival direction, creative direction, and planning community experiences. Like I think Bonnaroo could really benefit from more like community art experiences, like for people to come together. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but one thing that like really inspired me in that way is I did a live art exhibit at a flip turn festival they did in Gainesville, and we all like painted shoes for the band. I started it, and then people came to my booth, sat down, and helped me finish the shoes, and then we gave them to the band at the end, and it was just really cool to see everyone express creativity in a way that they maybe haven't in a really long time, and like people made friends and chatted with people they wouldn't have otherwise. So I envision like helping plan festivals and planning like community experiences that bring people together in that way.
Well, I hate to be the now more than ever guy or most important time in the history of the world guy, but I think you'll find as you get older that I think many of us that come from a creative background will find out that community involvement, the community building, the being active within the community. It doesn't really matter which community we're talking about. Doesn't have to be Bonnaroo. Doesn't have to be the festival community. It can be something that you're involved with at school in Gainesville, somewhere in Atlanta, maybe on the outskirts in Ackworth or something somewhere, or anywhere. I think you'll find those skills and those tools that you build now for something that you're just excited about because it's one of your passions could later turn into bigger passion projects that you're not even thinking about now. So, I mean, you didn't come here for advice for your career. Yeah. But I know a lot of people who've done these very same things that are now like almost to an annoying level involved with getting small communities within where they live. And I think that's my whole point there. Sorry to ramble on that is these are skills that go far beyond all of us having fun in June on the farm. Right. And I think it sounds like you're probably thinking that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. I'm honestly just ready to like learn and absorb knowledge from anyone at this point. It's like a very new decision that I've made to explore this. So I'm just looking forward to learning. And also, there's a lot of accessibility things that come with my OT knowledge that I feel like could be a useful skill in the music industry as well, especially for a company like Topeka, like that targets not all like 20 something year olds. So we'll see where it takes me.
All right, so I'm going to go on a whorish fishing expedition. You made several submissions to our contest. Tell us why, and tell us why you did so many. I mean, we ask all kinds of questions about. We ask about what sort of bands to see, you know, your things, your regrets, the ones you do overs, all of that. And I'm pretty sure you submitted some sort of response to everything. So tell us why you love us so much. That's basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, why do you love
Yeah.
Barry so much,
There
Larry?
it is. There it is. Let's just go with it.
Oh, well, I'll be honest. The first Bonnaroo podcast I started listening to was the Rue Bus because I saw the Flip Turn pre-show the first year that I went to Bonnaroo, so I got into them. And then they talked
Yeah.
about your podcast a lot, so I started listening to your podcast. And when you announced the giveaway, I was really excited because, unfortunately, on a college budget right now, I couldn't afford to just buy tickets flat out. So I was going to go either way, but I was going to volunteer, and I volunteered in 2022, and it was a really like a great learning experience, but I was exhausted. I was sick at the end and I didn't get to see all the bands that I loved. So I was just really hopeful that, I don't know, I was going to answer all the questions. They were fun. I enjoyed listening every week, and I was like, maybe something great will come out of it. And it did. So I'm very thankful for that.
I'll tell you what, Lena, and anybody else who's curious about these kinds of things, as potentially annoying as a good sound, volunteering for the festival is a really good way to get in. Now you got to you've got to, I mean, you got to pay your dues. You don't just volunteer 1 year and then you're doing, you know, you're parking cars, you're doing the worst of the worst. But I know people have done that for decade and a half, and now they work with companies who set up hospitality for VIP around the country. Like it is a way in. So don't leave that in the back of your head if the connections you get through us, those very strong. If you don't get anything there, always have that as an option as well.
Yeah, I mean, I loved volunteering. It was just really mentally and physically exhausting. And especially being in a grad student now, I was like, it probably won't be ideal to already miss a couple of days of school and then be exhausted from volunteering as well. But that was like what made me fall in love with Bonnaroo. That was my first year that I volunteered with my two friends. And we were like kind of miserable the whole time because it was the heat wave. But then we left and we were like, that was the best week of our lives. So I would do it again for sure.
Just like to everything Tuba said and everybody else, even that. It ain't glamorous, and it's hard work, and there's a lot to do, but it still gets you meet a lot of people that way.
Well,
Yes,
and I always like to reference back to our earlier shows, and I promise you probably didn't have somebody pee on your back like Paul Janaway from St. Paul. So if you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen. It's still one of my all-time favorites.
Well, he ended up playing on the bigger stages of the festival.
He made a career out of it. One last, tell us, you're bringing a friend. Tell us about your friend, and I hope she's excited. Tell me about when you called and said, hey, guess what? We're going.
Oh, she was so excited. I called her as soon as I found out. Her name's Mary, and she's an OT student with me, and I somehow convinced her to come volunteer with me. I was just looking for anyone to go with me because I was going to go alone, which I wasn't really comfortable with. I had met a few people at a Glass Animals concert last year that I knew were going, and I was going to like join their group, but I didn't know them super well. So I convinced my friend Mary to come, and then this is just amazing that now we don't have to volunteer and we can enjoy all of our favorite artists and just have freedom all weekend. And she was ecstatic. So we're both really excited. And it's her first Roo. So I'm really looking forward to showing her around the farm and just having a great week.
Well, you don't know him, but I'm going to go ahead and let you say it. Say, give thanks to Dan and Brad and everybody else at C3 for your tickets, right? Because that's who we're getting them from. So
thank you so much, Dan and Brad and everyone at C3. I love C3. That's like a dream company for me one day. So
they're the biggest in the business right now.
Yeah,
very cool.
Real quick before it has nothing to do with anything, being a Florida Gator. and clearly much younger than demographic that would be very much into a guy like Tom Petty, but deep roots in Gainesville.
Yes.
Does his aura, because since he's passed, that was about 8 years ago, and the music they play of his during the football games, and the more they've tried to continue to keep his name and his legacy in that city, is that still felt by the youth of the school? Is it still celebrated outside of the third quarter of a home Florida Gators game? I think that's when they play, or there's one spot where they play one of his songs. That's always fun to watch. Do you feel that? Do you see that? Do you appreciate that? Like, I'm sure you appreciate it, but would you talk about that quickly?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's mostly for people that really love music, like maybe not the general demographic of all students, but I love looking into what's going on in the music world in Gainesville. And I always see our local venue, Heartwood Soundstage, hosts Tom Petty nights all the time. And I'm always hearing about Tom Petty and hearing about his legacy. So I definitely feel like his influence is still strong in Gainesville. There's murals when I drive around, and
Cool.
It's a very, very strong presence in our city, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, it's I Won't Back Down, I believe, that they play at the start of the fourth or the end of the third, and the whole place in the swamp at the football stadium sings it. It is, every time I see it, I'm not a Florida football fan, but I'm like, this is cool. And I've never been to Gainesville.
Cool.
So that's cool
it's great. I haven't been to enough football games, but the ones I've been at, it's been really special.
Well, I was going to ask you about how you think your basketball team's going to do this week, but I figured there's no reason to go down that road, because who cares?
Well, you already
Hopefully
jinxed Tuba, so leave Lena alone.
I know. Kansas. Gonzo. See you, Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas is Outsville. Hey, that was cool, right? What a surprise. Or maybe not. I felt like she was the
depends on who you ask, but
she was the good winner. She was the right.
We put it together. And for anybody, I just want to make sure, like we don't do contests 100% traditionally like you're used to with old legacy ways of doing it. We want to keep it fair. We want to keep it open for a while. But in the end, we really are looking for the best. Like, and just because you didn't get a winner on this, we have a couple other winners we're about to announce. Doesn't mean it wasn't near the best, but we have to collectively decide it. And it was tough. It was really tough.
You're 100% right. She mentioned Flip Turn, friend of the show. Again, I keep referencing back to earlier episodes. They were on with us at Moon River.
We almost discovered them.
That's why I feel they were nobody until they were nobody until
they had that video game, and that's like it. Then
prove me wrong.
Right.
But what was the other thing she said? Oh, she mentioned that she discovered us through the Real Rubus, and I meant to mention at the first of the show, Brian, you did an episode last week with those guys.
Damn it, Taco! I told you, don't let me forget, and I damn near forgot. I want to thank Daniel very much from the Rubus, and Charlotte, everybody involved with the Rubus, but it was just Daniel and me on the section that I recorded with him, and we spent about 30 minutes or so, maybe 40. On the first 10, 12 years of the festival, and bounced around a little bit and got distracted, as per most podcasts do. But there was one or two things I did not remember going in. Getting pulled over by the cops was one of them, and it kind of came into my head back in 2003 while we were talking about it. I won't spoil it. Go listen to it. I had a lot of fun, and so thank you so much for you guys reaching out to me. And this has nothing to do with anything y'all didn't ask. Same week, I got asked to be on a Pearl Jam podcast as the spring tour is about to start down here in the South. So I'm going to do a little correspondence from the shows on that. Means nothing to anybody. I don't even suggest you listen to it. But
yeah, you won't be able to, and it'll be gross.
No, Barry ain't going to be there.
Slobbering.
Yeah, and Taco, you ain't going to be there either. I'm just saying, those are a couple of weeks of fun. I mean, I enjoy this. I enjoy talking about things I like. So thank you to Daniel and to Randy from the Live on Four Legs podcast.
Well, and it was a good listen. I enjoyed hearing your remembrances of early Bonnaroo. So there's that.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations to Lena. She gets 2 tickets and a camping pass. And to your point, Brian, I interrupted, but we don't, when we start these contests, we have no clue how we're going to choose. But as often happens, a theme sort of presented itself, and I felt like Lena was a great winner because, as I said, not only the number of submissions, but she took advantage of the multiple ways to enter, which we've never done before. We've had, a couple ways.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
This year we had video, text, voicemail, and even fax machines. And so,
I will say, Lena, you should have found a fax machine.
I know, right?
You should have. That would have completed the entire perfect submission trifecta.
Yeah, we didn't have
whatever
one person that did every single one.
No.
We did get some faxes.
You know what, Lena?
And,
On the campus of the University of Florida, somewhere there's an old office
That would have been funny.
that's got a fax machine in it. But I kid.
But along those lines, and in keeping with that theme, the winner of the I Am Bonnaroo David Bruce print, which is, he does, if people remember, he shoots, and he's done this for years now? More than a decade.
A lot.
It's old school. It's black and white predominantly, though he has started shooting some color.
All on 35 millimeter, right?
Correct.
Yeah, or one... Is it?
Film, anyway.
It's film.
Yeah, I don't know the exact specifications of what
I was
he
just
shoots
trying to
on, but
remember how he
it's
tags
film.
every post.
It's either 120 or 35 or both.
Either way, it
either way,
ain't
it's
how
old
anybody else
school.
is doing it. Yeah.
And
It's not digital.
In keeping with that, the winner of the I Am Bonnaroo print is Bosco, who made his submissions via fax machine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Primitiveness will get you a long way around here.
Also made multiple submissions. So Bosco will be reaching out and getting your information, and we'll be sending you a David Bruce print, which is awesome.
It is awesome, and
Yeah.
and to anybody who might think, or to Bosco yourself, I didn't win the grand prize. That's not how we labeled it, but I didn't win that top one. Man, there's something awesome about an authentic, great print. I know you know, Barry, you know that. We all know that. But oftentimes, we as a consumer look at the pricing of some of these things, and it's difficult for most people to be like, "Oh, I'll buy that for $200." I'm making up numbers here. $200 for whatever this is. It's like, I don't know, I don't know. But to get handed to you by a guy who spends his in summer every year down there making great shots,
loves it as much as we do. And
find yourself a great
it's
frame, and that
awesome.
thing is going to have a story to tell the rest of your life.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly right. And again, so keeping with the theme a little bit, our third prize, our third giveaway is a copy of Caleb's Bonnaroo yearbook.
That was a fun one to stumble on with Caleb that week.
was
We
another
didn't know
fun
what we were
interview.
doing that week, and all of a sudden we have him on to talk about this really cool book he's put together. And project. It's not just a book, a project. It's
And that's
really
my
cool.
copy, by the way. You're not getting that one. That's mine.
No, he signed that one, right?
I bought my own. But Caleb offered to provide us one, and the winner is Vivian. And sort of with the theme, Vivian, who said she has been, I think, 10 years, but will not make it this year because she's going to have a 3-week-old child at the time. So
I had
thought,
that email from her printed off. It was something like that, yeah.
what will she need to be doing while baby's sleeping and she's missing Bonnaroo? And I thought she can go through this book.
Yeah. Relive the last year.
So there
Yeah.
you go.
She also mentions, because last year we did a voicemail contest and we played one of her messages on the show. She gave a tip about making sure you clean up after yourself. And
That's
she
right.
says, leave it cleaner than you found it, which is something we always try to do when we camp at Bonnaroo or anywhere else. And she says it's one of the greatest things about the Bonnaroo spirit. So
I'm
clean
so
up after
glad you
yourself.
remembered
Don't,
that. That's
don't
right.
leave a bunch of trash around. And respect the farm. That's one of the core principles. So good
Excellent
tip.
work from Mother Vivian, the Bonnaroo Mother Vivian. Thank you very much for that. And before we get too far away, or away at all from submissions, just as we wrap this up, I wanted to quickly, if it works for you guys, to give you the couple of emails I printed off, and I'll go with this very quickly. To originally start my my Discovery playlist, not my playlist that has Megadeth all over it, not my playlist that's got Glass Animals all over it.
Let me go back real quick, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just to put a bow on the gift thing. we've done it in the past where we picked people who've never been. So it was how can we, further this thing along type of thing. But this year's submissions were all veterans, very passionate about it and loved it. And anyway, that just they all seem to have that sort of same theme. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. And as we've seen, the creativity and the effort and production is picked up, and you're going to get my attention with that every single time. I don't really even care what you're talking about. If you've got a cohesive thought with some production and some creative, especially if you have technological skills, you're going to get me every time. That doesn't mean if you make a phone call, then you're a dullard and we don't like you. That's because I'm a phone call kind of guy. But but just a couple of these that I got in the last few days since us talking about last week of how much last year we actually spent a lot of time on soliciting people to send us suggestions, and not as much this time just because we make this show up as we go from week to week. And I got a few here that I'm sure you guys maybe saw and glanced through that were huge for me. So over the last couple of days, it's just a handful of names. It's not too far. This one from Joey. These are via email. Thank you for this, Joey. MJ Lenderman, who I think Lena mentioned earlier, and Daniel Donato, which I'm already somewhat familiar with. Those are two. And then from Nicholas, he sent in a lot of nice things to say, big, long email. And then a day by day, Friday, and I just picked one each day, Mannequin Pussy, which I've heard of, but that's all. Heavy Punk Rock. Then Saturday, Dope Lemon, mellow indie rock from Australia. So that grabs my attention a little bit. And then also Australian from Sunday, Royal Otis, Australian punk rock. So I quickly ran over and made a 20-song playlist, which we'll throw up here if you happen to want to give it a look and see where it goes. And so from those suggestions, I have Dope Lemon, Mannequin Pussy, Daniel Donato, MJ Lenderman, and Royal Otis, as I just all mentioned. And then I threw in Dogs in a Pile because I heard that somewhere else. And then I strategically, just with every other 2 songs or so, put in a song I know really well. So the playlist doesn't lose me, right? So I'll hear I've got Megadeth, Avril Lavigne, the brand new Goose song, and Foster the People layered in between those trials. So there you go. There's my first 20-song list. That's a little discovery going, and then hopefully by the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long, I'll add to it or create a whole new discovery list, and that's how I'm going to try to layer them in. So if you'd like to take a look at that, we'll link it to the screen. Yeah, and you mentioned emails. We do get a lot of email suggestions for who to check out on the lineup, and I think you mentioned a few. Instead of reading them all here, we'll post them in the Discord so everybody can see what people have picked and what people are recommending, and we'll post your playlist too. So if you're ready to get started diving into this lineup, that's a good way to get started. Exactly, and so far, last year this was huge for me.
Absolutely,
and so far I haven't given this more than a single run through, but this MJ Lenderman, I didn't get where he's from, but he's got 500,000 monthly listeners, which actually isn't a lot from a top tier aspect. So he might be a Thursday or an early tent show day. If you like drive-by truckers, this is the sound of music he makes. I don't know if he's singing about the South and, the TVA ruining his uncle's property back in 1936. I don't know if that's what he's singing about. But the music itself has that southern, grungy, slightly angry, but then slightly sometimes celebratory of things. It's very cool sound. There's a very good chance MJ Lenderman is my first new discovery have to see. I'm not there yet. I'll report back.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because he has been brought up to me multiple times as a suggestion from a lot of people that I trust, their musical tastes. So
there's a chance
I think that's a good pick.
This might be one of those, if he has a big tent stage show that gets a big crowd and gets a big response, might be the big stepping stone to wherever he's going. So I'm happy to have found that.
It's funny. We're all three on the same page. We didn't talk about it coming out of January, but now is the time we all three seem to be. Now I'm ready to start diving into the lineup. And
yeah, I mean, I didn't pick this time frame on purpose.
right, me either.
I did purposely decide at first I want to get excited, and then I want to kind of shut it down a little bit. We got to work on a lot of things for this show. We got to work on a lot of things for our day jobs. Let's not get too wrapped up into 6 months of of listening to all these bands. Now's the time, and y'all's help is going to be invaluable. So thank you.
Now's the time, and if you want, the Ruham guys. They've taken a couple of deep dives, and I love listening to their show.
Speaking of which, I actually meant to write that down. Festival glowing all over our boys.
Yeah.
As well they should.
I mean, they didn't give up. They've given us some credit. I mean, feels like we kind of had to pull the teeth to get the credit, but they were falling all over themselves.
Well, it's a great show. Parker and Michael.
No, I mean this good.
Did a great job.
What a cool thing. But Al and our boy BP, Brad Parker, and whoever else, greatest show ever. And I'm like, all right.
It was a good one.
Is it as good as ours?
So if you want to go listen to that, but we'll be doing ours coming up pretty soon. Looking forward to that. Other news came out. Lollapalooza lineup came out this week. And guys, man, I'm old. There's like 3 bands on there, I know. Flip Turn is one. Cage is another. That is not my lineup, but it's almost already sold out, right?
It is sold out, except for the 4-day passes sold out in like a day.
Wow.
That doesn't happen anymore. I don't know how many tickets they sell. I have no idea.
A bunch.
I mean, Grant Park is massive, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much it holds, but
so
it's an okay lineup. But the first thing that came out, first thing to my head, it's the same thing. These same damn headliners, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of hearing about it. Now, if it's clearly working, if they're selling out Chicago just like that, because my guess is a lot of people living in Chicago, if they've made the trip to Manchester, even a few times, 1 time, 2 times, they might be done with that, right? They might be done driving to Tennessee to see a festival. So maybe that's working out. I think in the past, the undercards have always been more similar than we gave credit. Mm-hmm. But it's just these years, this year specifically. I mean, Olivia, Tyler, they do have Sabrina, which we don't have. Luke Combs. And by the way, the more I listen to Luke Combs, the more I ain't impressed by this act on Thursday at all. I'll love you anyway. And some of these songs are just
not you. And that's fine. That's my point. I'm not dogging Lala. I'm good for them selling out, but that's not my lineup.
They do have Korn, at least. They do have Korn in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they got your boy Dom Dalla, Barry.
Dom Dalla, who I keep listening to. I like it.
See, just like that, they got Foster the People. They got Royal Otis, 2 of the ones I just mentioned on my list for Rue. I haven't even gone that far. Barry Can't Swim. If you don't get to stage announce for,
I hope he makes it to all these festivals if he can't swim.
If you don't get to announce the band at Bonnaroo, you can maybe make an arrangement to go up to Grant Park to MC the Barry Can't Swim. But they got Flip Turn, of course, which Flip Turns has a new album out, so they're going to be on every festival. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, but they sold out. So if there's anybody who's irritated by that, the joke's on them.
Yeah, good for them. All right, what else, guys? What have we missed? I tried to make a list.
In the Woods.
Where in the
Woods lineup.
Yeah, the only thing I wrote down about the Where in the Woods, that came out about by the time you hear this, it was about 1 week ago today. We had already recorded and dropped at that point. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Sometimes I can pretend like I know some of these artists, and this go round I can't. What I thought was interesting enough to jot down, that they're doing a city takeover for the course of the programming. So you're going to get EDM, and maybe not strictly only EDM, maybe something that's more to a different offshoots, right? That people who can talk about the different brands. But they're going to be representing Nashville, Atlanta, New Orleans, Austin, Durham, North Carolina, of all places, Miami and Memphis. So they will have city-themed takeovers during Wild in the Woods. I don't know what that means exactly, but at least it's as always, as they do in the Outeroos, curation is always the key to the day. Everything they do out there is a very specifically deliberate, curated event, and this is no different. And I bet with these changes, slightly just as far as programming, all the other smaller changes we've talked about on here as far as how late it's open and entrance and outro, I have a feeling Where in the Woods might be at its peak, at its best user experience this year.
Yeah,
would be a guess.
Because remember, the reason they kind of made this change is they don't want to feature a huge EDM artist there, because remember last year after the last headliner finished on Sunday, everyone went to Where in the Woods, and it kind of created a safety issue. There was a lot of people. Yeah. There was very few exits, and it was because that was really the only act left to see. So that's where everyone crowded into. So I think they're trying to do it now where it's lesser known acts, and they are doing a city by city thing, which is pretty cool. Also, if you remember, Reddit doesn't like to give us credit, but we did confirm Sparkle City Disco would be there. That's a Nashville DJ duo, and they played back in January when they did the Nashville meetup. They were one of the bands playing, or acts playing. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I think as far as that late Sunday night thing last year, I mean, it doesn't matter what you programmed all week and what you did all week and what you thought about all year round. Close it down Sunday night.
Yeah, they could have you and me in there, and it was going to be packed.
Yeah,
because it was the only thing going.
Yeah,
it could have been Bryan and Barry on spoons.
It's I go back to one of the few times I closed down Bonnaroo. I haven't closed it down too many times. In the Elton John year in 2014, I did, and I was wandering around chasing a girl and her friends, and I end up in VIP, and next thing I know, I'm all lost out in the middle of the night looking for something to do.
Yeah.
And dude, there's nothing to do. And as a matter of fact, we need you to just shut up and go to bed.
Right. Along those lines, and Rush, I think you shared Brad Parker's commented on Festiverse about matrimony. And the commentary people were saying about it going away, and it's gonna, he said it's not gonna go away. They're gonna have a similar vibe, just somewhere else, but they want to try to bring something similar to Jake, Snake and Jake, back, right? I mean, you know more than me.
I don't know any more than you, but that's kind of what we assumed was going to happen here. Was that it's not going away, but more just transforming into another version of this. And like you said, bring back the party atmosphere. So.
Yeah, what we kind of speculated on last week, and I think that makes the most sense. It does feel like there's a possibility that as just a wedding chapel, there is some space being wasted there. Yeah. Like that you could do more there and put that somewhere else. But you could start the whole thing of, if you move it out of Centeroo, are you just effectively one step away from moving it away completely? And I don't think most people, the Who stage, plenty of people have thoughts on. Holy matrimony and people getting married, I mean, that's such a tiniest fraction of the people who are ever going to attend Bonnaroo truly care about. You can get rid of that tomorrow, and by the end of the week, nobody even remembers it was there before.
I mean, I don't think they're.
I think keeping it going is fun. I'm still working getting our guy in here from last year. I think it's a super neat thing, but it's got prime real estate. That's why it was Snake and Jake's. It was prime real estate. It might be time to make that more prime real estate.
So, all right, guys. So coming up, we've got had a couple other but festival people reach out. They want to come on and talk about their events. I'm excited about that. We've still got some more, we want to have Brad and Corey back on. We have talked to Corey since he's now a dad, so I can't wait to hear all about that. But they want to come on and talk about music, and we still need to have Brian Benson, and I don't know if Steven's coming on with him, but definitely Brian, to talk about the lineup and how it was built and all the different questions about everything from Infinity to whatever else, right? He would be the guy. So what else, Russ?
Well, you mentioned Corey. Speaking of him, we're still planning maybe doing something in Chattanooga.
Oh, that's right.
Sometime, as far as a Bonnaroo meetup, similar to the Nashville one that they did back in January. I've talked to Corey and kind of given him some suggestions for places to do it, and then kind of hooked him up with the right contacts. So maybe they can make something happen. It's in the works.
Cool. We'll see how it goes.
And
I mean, it's getting there quick.
It's getting here. That's right. We're 90, less than 90.
Way less than 90.
We're under 80.
Yeah, we might be under 80.
Oh, my God. All right. I think that's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who submitted suggestions and contest entries, and congrats to our winners. And we'll be in touch to let you know how we're going to get you your stuff. So,
yep. And join the Discord, the WhatCO/Discord.
Absolutely.
We'll put some more suggestions in there. We'll do some more questions and answers and stuff. So,
yeah. Now, and I think as I just popped in my head, I'm going to try to make a new-ish discovery playlist maybe not every week, but every week or two, and then just kind of give a quick report card. I'm not deep look into all this stuff, but the little I heard of these suggestions I got excited because it all sounded exactly like what I want to hear, except for somebody. Here's the thing. A couple of y'all, I don't mean to be a jerk about it. A couple of y'all sent me, and thank you again, but Kitchen Dwellers as a suggestion. I don't know where this has gotten misunderstood. This is a pure bluegrass band that doesn't have a drummer. Kitchen Dwellers ain't going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. If it's a drive by, it's a walk by, I'll give it a listen. But I thought, okay, I don't know. Maybe we talk a lot, guys. Maybe they got misunderstood of where I'm at, but I don't want to be
you got trolled.
Maybe. All right, Brian. It did.
Brian, we
I don't
got
know
the band for you right here.
I might have lost
Somebody's
the
at home
context.
laughing. I made him listen to Kitchen Dwellers.
I might have lost the context on the joke because I was going through it so fast. Like, and now for Brian.
Yeah, he's at home right now listening to Kitchen Dwellers.
It's the first one I pulled up. I was like, oh, I've heard that one a few times. I bet it's good.
Oh, that's funny.
And now I'm to the point. If there's not a drummer, don't even send them my way. I need a drummer back there, man.
All right.
Anywho,
guys.
thank you, though.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a great week.